Okay. Hello, everyone. Hello, joining live, and hello, those watching the YouTube recording. It's nice to meet you here in our monthly ACC or PCC certification journey sharing event. It is hosted by Hub for Coaches. It is community on the school platform. It's community by the coaches for the coaches, where we gather to exchange our experiences, help each other grow, and for sure be as best professionals as possible, helping each other on this on this road, on this path. In description on the YouTube recording, you will find the community link, of course, the contact information for our guest tonight, Sandra. I'm saying tonight, but of course, for everyone watching, it's a different time. Okay, so without further ado, for those watching on YouTube, of course, the common request, like, share, subscribe. It helps the channel grow, but also it helps spread the word about the community and spread the information we will be sharing here, or rather Sandra will be sharing with us. And today we are joined by Sandra Ghattas Brundler, ACC already, ACC coach. She's leadership and transition coach with no less than 35 years of global corporate experience. So quite a lot of experience, but mostly we are interested today exactly in the journey in the coaching. How, Sandra, was your journey? How did you came to the realization that you need coaching and came here to ACC certification? So let's have some introductions, and the floor is yours. I will be asking questions, but also colleagues watching, please use the chat, ask your questions, and we will weave them into the discussion. So your question is most important. We will try to answer all of them, time allowing. So much from me for introduction. Sandra, welcome. Thank you for your time, and please share a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Rim, for this opportunity. And before I start, I have to say that how did I learn about Hub for Coaches? Well, it was a post on LinkedIn which was advertising somebody who's going to talk about their ACC experience. And it was just a few days before I took my exam, so it came in super handy, and that's how I connected to this community. So thank you today for giving me the opportunity to give back on my journey. So to answer your first question, why coaching? If I understand the question correctly, it's there's a time in your life where you feel it's really time to give back, right? And so even if during my corporate life I was mentoring and coaching some of my team members or other people in the company, or part of other programs supporting, for example, women in leadership, I really felt that now that I'm retired, because I have retired a few months ago, this was something I'd like to do, is give back to people. And coaching was for me the most natural thing to do, because I like to help people and I like to do it. I mean, it really comes from the heart. And so I told myself, okay, how can I do this, but put a bit of structure around it, right? I mean, even if you coach as a leader, you can always learn about how to do it, maybe a few tools, a few techniques. And so that's why I went through coaching, and I can tell you I've learned a lot. So that's a little bit my why of coaching.
Yeah, thank you, Sandra. And moving a bit to certification part and just motivation for that. Everyone watching also, please use the occasion to put in chat your current situation, where you are on certification path. Maybe you're reading, maybe you are already on your level 1 or level 2 education program, or maybe you already passed the ACC exam and just interested to hear other stories. So put in chat your current journey status, so we'll be able to prepare with information maybe a little bit precisely. So Sandra, you can coach without certification. As I understood during your career, you was doing coaching without certification. So why pursue it? Why go this way, not easy way? Yeah.
So as mentioned, I decided to get on the coach, the official coaching journey, and went through a program here in Switzerland in Lausanne at IMD. For some of you who don't know, IMD is the International Institute for Management Development. It's one of the top-ranked executive schools, and they have an executive coaching program which is over 9 months. And so I've done that. I'm certified by IMD. And of course, at the outset, you have the choice to take the ICF ACC certification or not. For me, it was a no-brainer. I felt that it's, to complete the journey, it made sense to be certified. And I think it's also a way to give legitimacy to what you're doing. It's also a reference, a worldwide reference for anybody who comes or who you coach. It gives them a reference, and it's a recognized a reference. And so I felt it was, yeah, for me, I felt I needed to do that, and pushed myself to do it only a few months after my MD certification. So did it 3 months after, because I knew if I didn't do that, I was not gonna do it probably. And so I pushed myself a little bit.
Yeah. Understandable, understandable. But talking about the whole certification process or even exam itself, speaking generally, something surprised you, or how was your general, impression of whole the process?
You mean the certification
Yeah,
process,
yeah,
the
exactly.
exam? Yeah, the certification process. Okay, so depending on which program you do or which school you do, your access, let's say, to the ACC certification is a little bit different.
Mm,
Some people have to hand in a paper, a write-up. Some people have to hand in a recording, and I think there's other options. In our case, we had to provide a recording, a 30-minute recording of a coaching session, and it had to be validated by ICF before we could take the exam. So and ICF was quite picky on the timing, the transcript, everything had to match. So that was a little bit something that I felt, at the age of AI and being in the 21st century, maybe it could be a little bit more modernized. But anyway, that being said, once you submit that, the whole process takes like 14 weeks. That's
okay,
the
that's
period it does take. It went faster for me, but consider that it might take quite some time before you're approved to take the exam.
mhm,
Um, so that was one thing. So the timing and the length of that was a little bit surprising for me. I mean, I can comment on the exam later, but
yeah,
that's at least on being able to take the exam. Of course, you have to be certified by a program. You have to have done your mentoring hours, and of course, all your coaching hours, depending on which program, it's 60
mhm,
hours or 100 hours. Or so once you have all that is done, then you can, start talking and thinking about the exam.
yeah, exactly, exactly. So while we wait for questions from the audience here, and feel free to post them in chat, we'll include them in our discussion. What was your learning path, preparation process, let's say? How you prepared for your certification?
So, as I said, I put myself under pressure because I had a personal objective of finishing my ACC certification in the same year I did the program. And so only had a few months to do that. So once I got the green light to take the exam, I booked it quite quickly
Mhm,
because, again, there's some availability, but the slots get taken very quickly. So you have a choice to do it from home or to go into a center. So make sure, I mean, once you do that choice, make sure maybe you don't wait too long to book a date. Anyway, I booked a date that was quite close. and didn't have a choice other than have to prepare quite quickly.
Yeah.
And taking, having done blank exams, and I will give you a site that you can all use. You have to, it's a paying site. It's about $100, but it's really, really helped me
Mm.
for the prep because it has the whole structure. It has some blank exams. It has all the details about the competencies, all the detail about all the ethics and values, and so on and so forth. So everything in one place. I found it quite useful. And so I used that and followed that stream,
Mhm.
day by day to kind of review, test myself. There's also some cards you can use on the competencies. And so that was my preparation. What I found to be a little bit tricky is, I don't know. I mean, most of us have been through school, have been working on a professional life. So maybe going back to studying is maybe not something we do on a regular basis. And I felt I was a student back where I was like, do I really have to learn some of those by heart? And the reason why I'm saying this is, as a coach, you know what a coaching mindset is.
Mm.
But if I ask you now, out of the all the competencies, do you know which one goes in which competency? Maybe all of you do, but that's the whole trick of the whole exam. It's the whole nuance.
Mm.
It's really knowing what belongs to which competency. I'm sure you're all great coaches and know how to apply the competencies, for example. But if I start asking you, classify them, and
Mm.
the way the exam is done, it's a multiple choice. So, of course, you can eliminate out of the four possible answers, you can eliminate probably two easily, and then you're stuck with two.
Yeah.
And so, if you have a good preparation, then it makes it much easier. Um, if you get stuck, I always say use your common sense. Use what would you do as a coach, right? What would really make sense? Of course, putting the client, as the priority. But sometimes, even if you do that, some things that make sense for you as a coach, well, no, the ICF exam and competency looks at it a little bit differently.
Yeah.
So really, in-depth preparation is critical. And if you use that site, I will give you, there's quite a few documents, thick documents on ethics, like when to refer, a client to a psychologist and those kind of things. It's like a 20-page thing. I recommend you read it because a lot of what's in there will come up in the exam. And if you have read that, then it's a no-brainer. It's
Yeah.
easy. So yeah, good prep and pace yourself for the prep. Don't do what I've done. Don't try to squeeze it in 6 days. Now, if you work full time and you've got other activities, it might be a bit of a stretch. So if you can give yourself some time, to do it over maybe a couple of months, I would highly recommend that.
Yeah. To stretch it out a little bit, give yourself time, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Sandra will share the website you are mentioning, that preparation, because people in chat are asking for it. So no,
Yes.
we will have time for that. Also, I would like to ask Vaida, my colleague, to share links to the community and our resources there, because in the Helpful Coaches community, we also have full roadmap of the preparation and what should be done and where to find all the resources. So Sandra is already sharing the link for the website Sandra mentioned. Thank you for that. And Vaida will share also resources on Helpful Coaches community. And yeah, it's very important to read those documents because structurally speaking, ACC exam is from three documents. It's core competencies, it's code of ethics, and it's referring client to the therapy. And those are in equal parts represented in exam. It's of course your lucky draw, how much of which questions will you get, but the whole pool is from those three documents. In my own experience, yeah, the referral of the client to the therapy came up quite a lot, as did the ethics part. Sandra, we have a question regarding those sub-competencies and their alignment to the core competencies. Yes, how, in your opinion, is or how did you learn those? That part. How best to learn which sub-competency goes where?
Yeah, so what I've done, and sorry, I'm sorry, just a parenthesis. I've put kind of a summary here of all the things I've used for the prep, and I'm putting all the links here.
Thank you very much for
And so what I've done in that website, you have these flashcards. That's what I've used. I mean, you go through all the competencies, read them. There are also videos on the ICF website that talks about competencies and sub competencies. So really try to go through those, start with at least, let's say the basics, right? Read it, learn it, and then put it in practice. And the flashcards, the exam, the blank exams, these are those things that can help you put it in practice.
Yeah. Sandra,
I hope I have answered the question.
Yeah, it actually did. In our also experience and how much we were talking about preparation and such, it's flashcards quite useful because they train memory and practice helps here too. Just going through your sessions and not only looking at the transcripts and understanding where it was good, maybe where we should learn a little bit, but trying to find out where exactly which competency represented itself. So it helps you to have this understanding of your session and your competencies present in there. It also helps with knowing them better. So Sandra, you mentioned that in this day and age of artificial intelligence and technologies, did AI or artificial intelligence play any part in your education, in your preparation for exam?
Yeah, where I have used it is exactly to prepare for some of the exam, where sometimes I said, okay, help me understand the nuance between, what's showing up in this competency and in this competency. And again, as I didn't have a lot of time, it was quite helpful because it gives you kind of a table with, tells you, compares things for you, sets out the main differences. It can even create a sample questions for you. So I've used it as a support. That's how I've used it. So yes, it did help me. I didn't have to do things like you do, with LLM, and I'm not that agile yet. But you can definitely have, other ways to prepare for sure. But I did not, get a chance to do that.
Okay. But in your opinion, what was the most helpful thing or practice, in the preparation until the exam?
Until the exam,
Mhm.
the program I did was quite solid and we had a lot of practice. So, of course, having to do your 100 hours, you do practice. But then we had 10 hours of mentoring, and some of it was group mentoring and some of it was one-on-one. And I have to say, our mentor, I still thank him to this day because he really pushed us hard,
Mm.
really pushed us hard. He gave us, you know, very strong feedback, almost pushing you to to your limits, not almost pushing you to your limits, but that feedback was so helpful.
Mm.
Because you'd practice and you'd practice again and you practice again and you practice those competencies. So I'd say the support from the mentor was quite helpful.
Yeah, that's very good to hear because not all programs support in this way. Yeah,
Yeah,
there are some, especially online programs, where you more or less sometimes left for your own devices. But very glad that your program was not such and you had a lot of support.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, Inching closer a little bit to the exam day, how you prepared for that, but mentally, exam is coming, you know the date, it's
Yeah.
almost here. What's happening? How you prepared?
Okay, so I'd say mentally, this is very personal, right? We all function differently. So imagine this, decided to take the exam on December 21st. I'm exiting my corporate role, so I didn't have a team anymore or any functions, but emotionally, after 35 years, leaving a company was quite intense.
Mm.
So there was a lot going on, but I had put myself this objective, and for me, it was okay. There's a timeline. It's a question of 7 days, and for 7 days, I'm just going to focus on this. So everything else, I pushed everything else aside, and yeah, mentally, it was not, I mean, nobody asked me to do this. It was from my own will. And it was, as I said, my personal objective was to do it within that year before Christmas.
Mm.
And so when I set myself a goal, there's clarity on the path forward, and I just go and do it. So this is why I say it's very personal. Uh, don't do, if I may say, you know, if you want to, I mean, only be certified if you want to. You have to want to do it, right? It's not a big deal. We're not talking PhD here. It's not a big deal if you've done coaching, if you've practiced, if you've done a good program, if you review a little bit, you study a bit. Make sure you understand the nuances. It's really in the nuance. That was the surprise for me. You asked before what was
Mm.
surprising.
Yeah.
So it's really understanding that the ethics plays a big role, definitely. It's quite heavy in the program. So, as long as you master all this and comfortable with this, then, it's not that hard. But just remember your why. Why are you doing it? Who you're doing it for, right? So I think if you have your why clear, your mental will follow.
I remember the saying. I think it's from Simon Sinek. It's if you know your why, every how will will be
Yeah,
manageable.
definitely, for sure.
I see a question from Suganda. I'm wondering maybe you can turn up your mic and your camera if it's possible and voice your question. It will be more interactive for us also.
Uh, thanks, thanks, Shrimbe. I'm sorry if I pronounce your name
Yes,
wrong.
totally fine.
Okay, hi Sandra. Thank you for
Hi.
giving us the resources. They are very helpful, and I'm sure for all of us who are having small questions for this journey, it's going to be very helpful. Now the point comes in like
I've lost it. I can't.
under. Can you hear me?
We lost you for a little bit, yeah.
Okay, now, so my question was that for competencies, we are kind of clear because you have given us an idea, flashcards.
Mhm.
But when it comes to the code of ethics, now if I believe that we have to go through the 2021 code of ethics documents rather than the 2025. Uh, and from what I was reading it, like, you have those five parts of code of ethics. And under the fourth part, you have the standards. Then you have to, go through the responsibility. So,
Yeah.
how do you exactly, when we talk about the questions coming under the code of ethics, how do we kind of prepare for those questions? Like competencies, we know that which competencies do the sub competencies go under. But what about the code of ethics? It's like how exactly do you go through the code of ethics? It's not like you have to memorize them, as you rightly said, because it's very difficult to memorize them. But then how do you go about the code of ethics for that purpose?
No.
Yeah, so again, as I said, I think it's practice. First of all, read it all. And in that first website I gave you, there's also in the same way there is for competencies, there is for ethics. And there's a few kind of booklets, if you will, on ethics. And so it gives you different kind of scenarios, right? So read it because one of those scenarios is going to come up in the exam. And I've seen that because as I was taking the exam, I was like, oh yeah, I've read this somewhere. But some things I've read really fast because I was like, I don't know. And no, read them because it's gonna come up and you're gonna say, oh yes, I've read that. Okay, that's what it is. Because of course, we all have values. We all understand ethics as a coach. But I tell you, it's the exam. It's very particular, right? It's ICF way. It's how ICF wants us to think about it. So maybe yourself with your culture or myself with my culture, maybe we'll think of a few things a little bit differently. But here it's not for you or I to think how we want to think, with our culture. It's how we have to think with the ICF banner, if you will. So again, read what's provided in the website, and be familiar with some of the scenarios, and practice through the exams and the flashcards. That's so really practicing after you've read the material. Be comfortable with the material. That's what will help. That's why I say, don't give yourself time, because if you try to do everything at once, then it might be a bit more tricky.
Thank you, Sandra.
I hope I answered your question.
Thank you, Sandra. Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you,
Pleasure.
Sandra, for question. To add a little bit, ethics are in a way kind of universal also. You can think universal topics there. But what helped is to keep in mind that the client comes first. And the tricky questions there are with three parts agreements. When we have stakeholder company is paying for the coaching and coachee, so those questions are quite common. Then how to act, then clients, for example, coaching, coming to be coached not on the work-related issues and such. So that has to be clear, because the agreements have to be there, but the confidentiality of the client always comes first. So that's a golden rule, let's say. But what helped also is, yes, we are talking about code of ethics, but keep in mind competencies also. And if you see the ethical problem and question is from code of ethics, but you see it through the competencies point of view, it helps a lot to find the solution. Because, from competencies, it's agreements, partnership. And if you keep in mind that, ethical parts comes along also quite easier, let's say. Yeah. So
Yeah.
thank you for your question. Yeah.
Good mentioning that. Definitely, we are at the service. I mean, it's client first, and we are at the service of the client, and client confidentiality prevails. And so, there's a few themes. I mean, as you review everything, there's some main themes that keep coming back. But again, you will see it's as I said, it's in the nuances, even in the ethics.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so Sandra, we're at examination day, the exam itself. What was the process for you? Did you take, the center exam, or you went your home environment path? How the exam day?
I did it at home in the Swiss Alps with a
Oh,
beautiful view on the mountains. So the setting was perfect. But before that, before I explain how I took it, once you register for the exam, if you register to take it at home, you're going to get an email that's going to overwhelm you, because it's like 4 pages, and you're going to read all these instructions, and okay, it's just overwhelming, but actually there's not a lot to do. It's you have to book your exam and test your computer. The day of the exam, you have to connect a little bit earlier. They will ask you with your phone to show, all your surroundings. So make sure, other than a glass of water, that you don't have anything else on your desk. Be careful if you're wearing a watch, because they made the comment on my watch, and it was not an Apple Watch or anything like that. So just take it away. You need to have your passport or an ID, and be quite clean, around you, because they will check that. So again, it's very particular. They're quite picky. Because I was taking the exam, and in the middle of the exam, they stopped me right away and said, "Oh, you have a watch." And I was like, "Yeah, okay, but I'm not doing anything with it." So my recommendation is take it away. Um, Depending when you register, the exam is supposed to be 90 minutes, but if you are not American, if you're not American, they'll automatically, anyway, for me, they give you extra time. So I think I had like 2 hours and a half.
Mhm.
So, once you register, maybe just say that you're from a foreign, you have a foreign language as a mother tongue. That will give you extra time. So at least you don't have the pressure of the exam. The exam goes in 2 sessions. I think you have 15 minutes break or 10 minutes break.
Mhm.
I think to 30 questions, then 10 minutes, and then or 15 minutes, and then another 30 questions. You can choose to do the 60 questions in one shot. I have a friend, she did that. Or you can take a bio break or have a glass of water. So the questions are quite short. In some of the practices or the exams you practice, the questions, like the scenarios, are quite long. When I took the exam, it was like a 2-3 liner question, and then 4 options for answers. So it was not very long. Um, and once you finish the first section, you cannot go back. Okay. Typically multiple choice. I don't know how familiar everybody is with multiple choice. I think not being, if you study in the US, multiple choice is part of what you do. You have a lot of easiness with it. I did not, I studied later in the US, but multiple choice has always been something hard for me, because you 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 have your gut feeling is like, okay, that's the answer, and then you start thinking, and then you start changing, and so be careful not to hesitate too much also. And this is why I say, if you were well prepared, if you've mastered the material, it should be a no-brainer.
Mm.
And then there is a passing score. So when you finish the exam, and I think the lady I had listened to in one of your previous, shows or sessions here had mentioned it, is you press the button and you think you're going to right away get your result. And I did not.
Oh, well.
And believe me, for 5 minutes, I was like, oh, I failed. What happened? There was a system issue, or anyway, no, none of that. So no panic. You're going to get an email 10 minutes later telling you if you've passed or not. It just gives you, I think the passing score is something like 700 or 650 or something like that.
I think it's 600 points, and the passing score is
It's
490 or something like that. Yes.
450, I think, is the passing score,
For
but it
60,
doesn't give you any details. Sorry?
sorry, for 60.
460. And it doesn't give you any details like what you had on ethics. No, it just gives you the score. It tells you if you've passed, and that's it. Yeah, so don't expect to get it as you press the button, and so no panic. What else can I tell you? Yeah, make sure you have around you, like you're in a quiet space, you don't have like your dog or, 'cause like we had a dog, and I had told my husband, no, take the dog away, because he's gonna want to go out and it's gonna, interrupt. So yeah, just make sure you have, a quiet space if you do it at home. I felt it was totally okay to do it at home personally, because, if you're in a center, there's maybe noise. And what else can I tell you? Yeah, I'm seeing a question here for most of the answers.
Very
Were there
important
multiple
question.
answers to one question or only one answer? So it depends. Sometimes for one question it's one answer. And sometimes it tells you like, the answer could be A, C, and, like A and C, for example, or B, and C. So it depends, but it tells you if typically it's one answer. And if it's more than one, it's going to ask it in a way, it will have all of the above, or, 2 options, or,
Yeah. But typically it's one question, and Sandra mentioned it's usually you can spot the wrong answers pretty soon, but 2 of them, and rest 2 will be questionable. You will have to think about that. So it's a
Yeah.
classic test approach. Also, we have a question from Talin. So Talin, if you could also voice it for us, it would be very nice.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Sandra, for
for all these resources and sharing your experience. And I was wondering, I heard a lot about like how complicated it could be for the setup if you're doing the exam from home, like several cameras, or so I was wondering, like, is it just like just showing your desk, or if you're in an office and you have shelves like around you, would that be an issue? I don't know. Was there any instructions about how the environment should be for doing it from home?
Yeah, you will get in the email, it tells you exactly, but I tell you, they are quite picky. I mean, I was wearing my watch and I was like this, like, do you see I have a watch? I mean, it's, and I think I just did this and they stopped it. So there's somebody that will talk to you for just a minute to do the scanning thing. If you have shelves in an office, yeah, it could be, if you have the opportunity maybe to be in a conference room or in a space that doesn't have things around, it might be best.
Yeah.
That's my recommendation.
As we heard other examples, as Sandra mentions also, it's best to have no places for them to wonder if you can use something or not. As plain, as simple as possible, because it will remove the questions altogether, So we have shelves with books. Maybe one of them is on coaching, so better remove books
Yeah.
and have plain walls or something like that.
I saw a question
Yes, from
asking how much
Fernanda is about
time.
how much time do you think is fair for preparation?
Okay, you're not gonna like my answer. I'm gonna say it's personal. It depends how you study. For me, it was I did it over 5 days, 6 days, and I was just doing that. So it depends how fast you learn, how fast. I said I've left school a long time ago, so for me, memorizing, because I felt there's a few things, like had to memorize or doing mnemotechnic things. I'd say really, really, it's very personal. I think if you have the luxury of time, maybe give yourself like a good month, and maybe you can focus a couple of hours, maybe a day or an hour a day. It's very personal. You can do it in a week if you just do that.
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay, how did I pace myself so that prep was not overwhelming? It was overwhelming. I was stressed. I was really stressed because okay, that's my nature. I was worried, but I was just focused. So yeah, I'd make sure I had breaks. At the end of the day, did something fun, or at lunch. And then if I had a buddy preparing for the exam, no, not really, because I was from my cohort. I was one of the first, I think the second person. So I actually helped everybody else afterwards. So they had a buddy.
You was the buddy, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know if that answers your question. I think Pretty has a question.
Thank you, Mary, for questions. And I see Pretty also have a question, so please.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Sandra. Amazing tips out there. Thank you so much. My question for you is, did you apply to sit the exam after you finished the 100 hours of coaching? Because considering it's a 14-week
Yeah.
process.
Yeah, so yes, the answer is yes, because when you go on the ICF website, and again here and I've given them feedback, it is the process, I mean, yeah, not very agile, let's put it this way. But yeah, you have to, once you go, you have to identify which program you did, like which school you did.
Yeah.
And you have to be certified from that school. And for some, it's only 60 hours that you need. For some, it's 100. So you need to make sure you have all the requirements before you can apply for the exam. So
Yeah, so no, my question was about the 100-hour coaching hours that you need for ACC.
yeah,
Like you need 500 for PCC.
yeah.
Because
I waited till I finished them.
okay.
But I know that ICF, they don't necessarily check, they can audit. I think if you have them at least before the exam, it should be fine. Technically, when you submit, you say you testify that you have the 100 hours.
Yeah, you
Right.
put the check mark that I
Yeah.
do have 100 hours.
Yeah. So
At the time of application?
Yes.
yeah, I think you need to have them before you really apply, because otherwise, if
Okay.
you decide to check and you don't have them.
No, I understand. I get it. Yeah. The other question, Sandra, for you was, how did you get coaches to do your 100 hours of coaching after the training?
Use your network.
Network? Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so ICF tells you have, there needs to be a transaction. You have to make people
Yeah.
pay, even if it's for a coffee.
Yes.
So what we did is I had the opportunity to coach some journalists, through somebody else that was in the program, that could not coach them because her brother was the CEO, for example. And so she asked me if I wanted to do it. So, I really leveraged my network,
Okay.
and would tell people, okay, buy me a coffee, or, it's just, $20 or
Yeah.
whatever.
Okay.
So yeah, it's not easy, but when people don't have to pay a lot,
Yeah.
you find clients. When you have to restart charging, it's another story.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if
Great.
that
Great.
answers.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe tell people it's not only for you to practice, but there's also something in it for them. And once
Yeah.
they try it, if you do it right, people will come back.
That's
Yeah.
So
a little bit on technical part regarding the 100 hours and preparation for your certification exam. Please be sure to check with your education provider what is in your program, because for example in my program we got the school certificate which we uploaded for ACF, which warranted that we have already 100 hours, but our session was also checked already for minimal ACC requirements. So that was included in our coaching program, and certificate just approved that for the ACF. So we didn't have to send the recordings for ACF. So it's another method, let's say. So please check with your coaching education provider what they have in the package for you. And here, note of caution, the requirements for mentorship and for session validation will be changing after New Year's, because ICF is introducing the mentor coaching certification and supervision certification. So new certifications are coming online, but the process of mentorship during the education and of session validation will be changing. So right now, either school, your coaching provider, is validating your session as confirming that it's okay by the minimal ACC requirements, or you are sending the session to ACF and they do the assessment. After New Year's, it will not be necessary. They are ditching the assessors altogether as a role. It will be incremental mentorship process. So during your mentorship process, during your education, you will get the markers, the documentation, how your skills are evolving during the mentorship process. It will be additive, and the whole package of documentation will assure that you reach the level of a minimal ACC requirements. So there will be no final session evaluation as such. So
okay.
Oh, wow.
after New Year's, yeah, it's an important nuance. So if you are going during currently with your education, if you are managing your mentorship during this year, it's all fine. If your mentorship will be next year, you will have between New Year's and April 1st to finish the mentorship process all the way. And from April 1st, it will be only New Way. So keep that in mind, but we have still a lot of time. But we will have a lot of information on that after the summer, after Paris meeting of ACF. It will be more information, and Hub for Coaches will also have next month, 16th, we will have MCC level coach who will share information on those new certifications and changes for education process. So keep that in mind, and please join us. We will share more information. Open event. Yeah. Sorry for this technical
No,
introduction.
that's wonderful. That's so useful. Thank you.
Thank you, Priti, for question.
Let me
And
just
Mary, please join us. You had a couple of questions. Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And Sandra, thanks a lot for your experience. I'm very curious. As you said, during your corporate days, you were also involved in coaching and mentoring others. So when you submitted your 100 hours, did you also include those hours you have spent coaching others when you were still in corporate?
no, I have not. Because I actually, I really counted the hours of when I started coaching, through the program or when I started my coaching education.
Okay.
And I guess, ICF is, I mean, and maybe you can maybe comment on that better than I can, but their guidelines is, I mean, it doesn't give you too many details about what you can count or not. I think, so if you've done them during your corporate, time or after, I mean, I think there's some flexibility. But again, for me, it was, putting the learning into practice. And that's why I only counted the hours after I started the program.
Sandra is very correct here, learning into practice, and the requirement from ACF is that you can count hours even in corporate setting, but after you start the education. So when you enroll to level 1 program, from that moment onwards, sessions count. Before that, unfortunately, no. But it's the main point here, to put your learning into practice. And corporate hours, if you're coaching your co-workers, colleagues during the working hours and you get salary for that, it's all fine. They count as paid coaching hours, so not even going to pro bono.
Okay. No, that's great because I did that after I started the program, so it's okay.
So they are valid.
Thank you.
Very good. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mary, for question. And Amrita, I saw your hand also.
Thank you, Ramadas. I was just going to second that. The day you start your formal education, any coaching you do after that, you can count. And so I work in a corporate setting as well. And so part of that networking, I think, Preeti, you were asking, how do you get people to sign up for those coaching hours? Is just talking about, hey, I'm training to be a coach. I would love to offer this. This is what coaching is. And then people started reaching out because if all I'm doing is asking for a cup of coffee for an hour, they were, we do that anyway. So got a lot of people signing up for it and then seeing value in it and then asking to add sessions. So I've been able to get a lot of hours through that process as well.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just
Thank you.
to add on that, I mean, I was still in the corporate world when I started the coaching. So I could leverage, peers or people from the company I was working in. But so the timing started only after I've started the program. So yeah, Marita, good point.
Indeed. And it's a good place to start your practice and familiar circles. Note of caution, you will have move from it in your profession, in your practice. So it's good to start early also with, LinkedIn, social media to attract people from outside your familiar circles. Yeah. Sandra, before moving to closing up questions, looking at our time, just a couple of notes again. Those watching on YouTube, please check the description. All the resources we mentioned here and Sandra shared with us, they will be linked also in the YouTube description. So look there for those. And of course, we are welcoming you to join the Hub for Coaches community, where a lot of materials also are situated, but most of all, we have a community, we have a space to grow together, to help each other in our journeys. And maybe that final note, Sandra, what would be your, I don't know, wish, suggestion for those who are already on this path to ACC certification? What would you wish them, us?
What do I wish them? In general or for the exam?
Both are good, I suppose.
Okay, I think for the exam again, just know why you're doing it, and I think you'll have the drive to do it, and get organized in the best way that suits you. Um, for me, just on coaching in general, it's a journey that I love. I love giving back. There's a lot of coaches out there. There's a lot of coaches out there. But again, you know why you're doing it and how you can differentiate yourself. At the end of the day, what gives me most joy is knowing that I was able to help somebody advance on their journey, and that's the most rewarding gift. So that's that's why I like being a coach. So thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Sandra, for sharing. And you're very generous with your time, with your insights and the resources you used, because obviously they help. You're already
Hopefully. Yeah.
Sandra, what's next for you? Where are you moving with your coaching practice? With how soon the PCC is coming?
So for now, for me, it's really, as I said, I've retired, but I'm quite active. So I'd like to continue coaching. I'm at the stage where, they tell you have to niche, right? That's how you can grow in coaching. So I've defined a niche, which is, mid and senior level managers in transition. But now it's about finding the clients, right? Getting a few corporate agreements, finding the clients. So it's about growing the business, and but that not an easy task.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm concentrating a little bit, understanding also how I can leverage a few tools, and
Indeed.
so exploring.
Yeah, yeah. And of course, best of luck in that. And again, community here helps. We have also some tracks on business development and Hub for Coaches, and we are glad to have you inside the community and member
Thank you.
of this space. But if the people here and watching on YouTube would wish to connect with you, if it's okay with you, can we share your
Sure.
LinkedIn
Yeah, I'm
account?
happy to drop my email here. And yes, don't hesitate if anybody wants to chat some more, just exchange, brainstorm, be coached. I won't make you pay. We'll do that
For
as
one
part of
session,
the,
for one session.
yeah, for one session, right? I have my manager here advocating for me. So I'll put my LinkedIn profile, and yeah, don't hesitate to contact me if you wish. It will
Yeah.
be a great
Thank
pleasure.
you. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you, Sandra, and thank you everyone joining us. The questions were very helpful in the discussion, very insightful, and we had even better time with them. So looking forward to our next events and meetings. And as mentioned, we will have this month on 22nd, I Love Being the Coach Salvat event with Gediminas Migonis, who will share his experience, how he moved from corporate sales position, management position to full-time coaching. He already has fully booked calendar for half a year, so quite interesting story to listen to also. And next month, 16th, we will have colleague MCC coach share with us the news about mentorship certification. That's quite important for those who are already in the coaching education, because some things will change as mentioned before. So join us for those events, join us on Hub for Coaches. And once again, Sandra, thank you very much for your time. It was a gift. It was a pleasure to see you here. And Preeti, I see your hand, please.
Sorry, one last question.
Sure.
I think there is the peer coaching program starting, isn't it? I think I've registered for that.
In Hub for Coaches, you mean?
Yes, yes.
We have peer
When do
coaching
we?
program. We have it repeated each month. So cohort starts from the 1st of the month until the 15th of the month. We have a registration, And then it's a couple of months of cohort time when you have to deliver, you know, 3 sessions between you and your peers. But it's managed peer coaching. What we mean by that, it's that we make sure that you have a partner, and we make sure that those who do not deliver on their part do not join the program later. You know, it's
Okay.
yeah.
So I've registered for it. Should I be expecting an email next week with my partner?
Indeed, it will be after 15th. We're closing the registration, the pairing is done, and you get the email together with your partner from Hubful Coaches, and you will know your pair. Yeah.
Beautiful. Perfect.
Just
Okay,
wanted to
thank you.
clarify that email comes just before the next month. So usually it's sent on 31st, 30th, something like that. Yeah. So
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you for this clarification. And once again, Sandra, some parting words. Let's close the session. Thank you again for your time, for your thoughts, and very useful experience here, because it's not usual we have experience from the exam taking at home. Usually it's from center. So your experience is here very, very useful. Thank you for that.
Great, thank you, and I'm glad I was able to contribute, and good luck to all of you who are, you know, on the ACC journey, and I'm sure everybody will succeed, and it will be an easy journey.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. See you next time. Bye.
Take care. Bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.